Hey everyone, I'm 22 Tiger Dude. Welcome to Animation Domination, and we're starting it off with The Simpsons. So, The Simpsons episode is about when Homer joins the Springfield Preppers. All of the grid survivalist groups, they always have set up a secret retreat outside of town to prepare for the end of the world. But Marge seems to be very skeptical about this whole thing. So, this Simpsons episode, I didn't know what to expect from it. I love The Simpsons, which y'all knew. So, I can honestly say this was not their best episode. I think maybe even the weakest episode of the season so far. So, the episode, it just felt weak. It was boring. It didn't have much humor. It felt pretty fresh, but I felt like there wasn't enough humor in this episode. And there were things I liked about it. Like, I liked the whole Homer prepping for things and all that stuff. But it felt pretty pointless in the end. And I don't know, just something about this episode could have been better. It could have been more executed well, or just in terms of writing, because the writing actually felt sloppy. It was boring. It lost my interest, especially by the time it hit the second half of the film. And plus the ending, man, it was probably one of the worst endings of the season. Not that I'm completely hating the ending, but I really could have come up with a better ending for The Simpsons than that, It was just weird. It just didn't feel like a necessary way to end an episode like this. Even if it was weak, it's not a bad episode. I don't hate it. It just was a letdown in my opinion. So you can either like it, hate it, or love it. It could go either way. This episode is mediocre, but it's fine for what it is. But unfortunately, I am going to have to give The Simpsons episode a 5.5 out of 10. We are now moving on to Bob's Burgers, and this Bob's Burgers episode is about when Linda feels like that her relationship with Louise isn't as strong as Bob's relationship with her. Because the daughter's more close to the father Bob than she is with the mother Linda. And as y'all know, not a huge Bob's Burgers fan, but I'm not gonna lie, I really enjoyed this episode. It cracked me up for the most part. There were a couple of annoying moments which brought down my enjoyment just a little. But other than that, I just really enjoyed this episode. I got a good amount of laughs here. It was fresh on storyline, on pacing, although a bit iffy in a couple of parts though. And it just felt fresh and just something I want to see Bob's Burger use more often from start to finish. It was just so much fun to watch, and definitely if you're one of the people that loves Bob's Burgers, then you're guaranteed to enjoy this episode right here. And I just think I got kind of annoyed with Louise being mean to Linda though, because like she said at the end of the episode, she was being a B, and I I just didn't like how she disrespected Linda. So that wasn't very right there. But the episode, I like how they bond at the end. Definitely my favorite part of the whole episode was when they're having their laser tag war. That was hilarious. It was just so creative. And then just the whole legs plot, it was so weird, but it was so funny. And surprisingly, Tina, who usually annoys me, in a couple of parts she annoyed me, but she actually gave me a good amount of laughs here. Same thing for Gene. It just felt fresh and everything, and it just felt right. It just felt nice, enjoyable. Nothing too over the top, nothing too annoying. Let's just say they don't try too hard to make this episode funny. The writers were exactly where they needed to be, and hopefully Bob's Burgers will use this kind of formula more often and not the repetitiveness. So I am going to give this episode a very enjoyable 9 out of 10.
Booga booga banana da bunga 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 banana da 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 da.
We are now to Family Guy. So this Family Guy episode is about when Lois and Peter find out that Chris isn't doing so well in school because of this incident. Peter and Lois, they talk about how Chris is dumb and all that. So Chris overhears them saying how low-brained he is, and he felt really insulted. And then Chris decides to look for a different academy. So what does he choose? He decides to go to a space academy to prove to Lois and Peter and to everyone else in the family that he's not stupid and he can actually do something with his life. So first of all, it's really great how we actually get a Chris episode, because last season of Family Guy, I don't believe had any Chris episodes. And this season's doing a little bit better, showing more Chris, not making him feel underused. Same thing with Meg. They're using her more often as well, and that's great. Now all we need is a Meg and Chris episode, and we are complete. So what I think of this Family Guy episode? It's a good episode. It's decent. It's nice to watch, but I'm sad to say it wasn't the best episode I've ever seen, and it was actually disappointing because I was really hoping to love this episode because of the fact that it involved Chris going to Space Academy and the fact that it took place in space. But yeah, it was kind of disappointing, and in terms of humor, it was disappointing too. Not too much humor, to be honest. I did laugh at some parts. One of the parts was definitely when Brian sticks his head out in the space shuttle. Is like, yes, I am loving it. Well, you have to watch the Family Guy episode to see what I mean. But there were laughs here and there, definitely. Storyline's decent at least, so it was likable, it was enjoyable, it was watchable. And I just like Chris proving himself in the end to Lois and Peter that he's not stupid, It's got that nice depth of heart to it. And it's just a nice, fresh episode that maybe some people like, some people might hate this episode. But I think if you're one of those people that are a fan of Chris, then you're going to really enjoy this episode. It's not a bad episode at all. I would definitely recommend it. I probably wouldn't say rush to see this episode, but just catch this Family Guy episode whenever you can. So while it is good, it is disappointing in my opinion. But definitely not a completely awful episode at all. So this Family Guy episode, nicely written, it gets a 7 out of 10. Lastly, it's American Dad. So everyone in the Smiths family household, they all break their New Year's resolutions. They're the family that can never keep up with a promise. So this year they decided to, I guess, stick with what their New Year's resolution is. But for them to help, Stan's a boss, Avery, helps them out. The deal was they all have to stick with their New Year's resolutions, no breaking or anything. And something about the first person to break it gets to lose their finger. Meanwhile, Roger and Klaus go on a crazy adventure, and that's really all I could say. So this American Dad episode right here, it's okay. It's not a bad episode. But definitely could have been a more better and executed episode though, The pacing felt weird. It was boring. There weren't a lot of funny moments. It felt weak in the process of writing, I guess you can say. And I don't know, just a lot of things in this episode seem to really go over the top. And just really something about the episode, it really makes it less enjoyable. And I don't know. Just in almost everything, it felt weak. Not too many good structures in this episode right here. But like I said, it's not done horribly. I liked some things. I laughed at some things. Not a whole lot though. And even Roger and Klaus's plot in this episode is just downright odd. But for some reason, I seem to enjoy their plot just a tad more than the main plot with the family and trying to stick to their resolutions and, all that good stuff. Definitely the most hilarious part was the ending. The ending was unexpected to me, actually. And it proves why Stan's boss Every can be just a funny character sometimes, And you gotta love Patrick Stewart's voice. Is it a great episode? No. Is it a horrible episode? No. It's an okay episode. It's enjoyable. And I think if you're an American Dad fan, then you're going to be able to enjoy this episode way more than I did. So I give this American Dad episode a 6.5 out of 10. Subscribe to my channel. Comment and give me your thoughts on each of the Animation Domination premieres. Like and share this video. I hope you all enjoyed this. And don't forget that I will always have...